Hello again, and welcome to another edition of Connecting with Augusta County Schools. I'm Eric Bond, Division Superintendent, and glad to have you with us here for another episode of Connecting with Augusta County Schools. Today we have a very special guest, Mr. Greg Troxell. He is our Executive Director of Operations and Maintenance. Greg, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
We're especially excited to have Mr. Troxell with us today. Something very special happened at our October school board meeting where the Augusta County School Board honored our maintenance department in their regular scheduled meeting for the month of October. And in particularly, not for all the hard work they do every year and every day for our schools, keeping us up and running, but especially for their efforts with our school security plan and the renovations to our school vestibules and just a fabulous job that they've done accomplishing that. So because of that, we wanted to have Mr. Troxell on our show today just to talk to him a little bit more in general about our maintenance department and all the wonderful things that they do for our schools, keeping us up and running and maintaining the safest schools that we could possibly have. So tell us a little bit, Mr. Troxell, how long have you been in this position? And certainly you've held lots of roles in public education over your career, but what attracted you to this role with Augusta County Public Schools?
Well, believe it or not, next month will be the start of my 8th year as the Director of Maintenance. That's kind of amazing it's gone that fast. When I was an assistant principal, I was in charge of that building, and that part always excited me about keeping the building in a clean state and well run. So when this job opened up, I was really excited about some of the things that I thought I could use some of my skills at. One was having an accounting and business background. The budget piece of it I really enjoy, and working with that type of budget. And just my grandfather was a carpenter. I built a house, did a lot of the work myself. I've always been a hands-on type person, and now I kind of live it each and every day with, we're always repairing and fixing and problem solving. There's never a dull day at the maintenance department.
Absolutely. I love what you say about problem solving. I think that's what we do as an organization as a whole. In every aspect of public education, we tend to solve problems every day. So certainly appreciate that perspective. My next question, I know sometimes could be a difficult question, but in 3 words, how would you describe the maintenance department?
Well, I think the guys are dedicated. I think they're hardworking. And I think they're really conscientious about what they're doing. They get it. They understand the importance of the things that they do, and the impact of it not getting done right can have huge repercussions. So they're very conscientious about their work.
Well, and I would even throw in a sense of pride. As I travel around to our buildings and I see your department in action and working, there's a sense of pride in their work and want to provide the very best for our students that they possibly can and their responsibilities for our students. So I definitely see a sense of pride there. What are some of the responsibilities of the maintenance department?
Well, the obvious one is we're there to keep the buildings running in the best order that they possibly can. And when something does break, we fix it. We have a work order system in which when something does break or stops working, the administration or custodians in that building will send in a work order. And then once we get that work order, we basically assign it to the department. And then within that department, they give it a priority. Because the same, for example, construction department could get 5, 6 work orders that day. And they need to prioritize which one they should do first. We always put security at the top. So if there's a work order comes in and it has something to do with security, it's automatic.
Right.
We do that first. And then my second rule and their rule that I've told them is if it has a direct impact on instruction that day, then we need to go take care of it.
Right.
So that's the big thing, is just day-to-day things that come in. Another thing that we do that probably people don't realize is there's a lot of inspections that the state requires us to do. Some of them are twice a year, some of them are once a year, but we have to make sure we line up inspections. And just some examples: elevators, fire alarms, the sprinklers, playground, the fire marshal, our boilers, fire extinguishers, all these have to be inspected. And we have different people within maintenance that are responsible for those different things. So we're constantly doing inspections and making sure we're keeping all our schools up to code and regulation.
So, Mr. Troxell, we mentioned earlier about you guys being honored by the school board, and a lot of that was because of the outstanding work you did with renovating our vestibules. I know in talking with you and seeing some of that work being completed, it involved all entities of your department, from carpenters to plumbers to electricians and all areas. So talk to us a little bit about planning for that. How did all that come together to accomplish the renovation projects that you guys did to redesign our vestibules and to increase our school safety and security?
Well, we actually started last April, at the beginning of April, and we met with the departments you had mentioned: construction, carpentry, plumbing, technology, and painting. And we created a schedule. We talked about what each department felt like they needed as far as a time frame. With the main thing is we didn't want too many people in the same area at the same time. We didn't want to be on top of each other's backs. So by doing the schedule, everybody knew when it was their turn at bat, so to speak. So they needed to make sure they had all the materials they needed ready when their time came. The other thing that was also part of this project was outside vendors, because some of it we could not do, especially when you're dealing with welding, new door frames, that type of stuff. So we met with vendors. We put it out to bid so that when their time was up, they were ready to go. You know, our whole goal was we will start the day after school let out, which we did, and we wanted to be done before teachers came back. And luckily, everything came to fruition, and it happened.
Well, and that was the added challenge that you had, working with some outside vendors, working with your staff, but fitting it in the window when kids were not in the building and teachers were not in the building was an added challenge. How many vestibules did your department do this summer alone?
We did 5 schools.
So this summer alone, you did 5 schools, basically redesigned. And tell our listeners just a little bit, what was pretty much the scope of those jobs? When we talk about renovating vestibules, I'm not sure some of our listeners understand what we're talking about, but can you just give a general overview what that scope of work is like?
Yes. Basically, what we were trying to do is when you enter the building, you are going directly into the office, that you don't have access to any other part of the building. So some were a little easier than others. When we did Churchville, it was just a matter of adding an additional wall and creating a new door. At Stump, if anybody's familiar with that school, the office was actually in the middle of the school. So you had to walk down a long hallway just to get to the office. So the only option we had there was to completely move the office to the front of the building, which in order to do this, we had to relocate the art room. So we actually rebuilt a new office, redesigned another room to make it compatible for art, and then the old office we turned into some smaller classrooms for more group instruction. So that was a big one. North River, we kind of flipped the office and the principal's office and the lobby. So that wasn't quite as hard. And then at Stuart Straff Elementary in Clymore, we basically added doorways, so when you came in the main entrance, the only option you had was to go straight to the office.
Right. And again, getting that done in a short time frame of a couple months with all the other factors that you had to deal with, like with some outside vendors, was an incredible challenge that you guys certainly rose to the occasion and did just a fantastic job. So again, thank you so much to that. A kind of nice segue to my next question is about, I know how proud I am of what you guys were able to accomplish with all of our vestibules, but certainly the challenge this summer to getting so many done. But besides vestibules and that security piece, what are you most proud of that this department has accomplished?
Well, I mean, we've had, in my tenure, we've had quite a few big things happen. We closed 3 schools and relocated, faculty to the new schools. The vestibule project certainly was a big project, but I think the thing that really impresses me the most about these guys, and that's more on a day-to-day level, is like all school divisions and a lot of companies, you just don't have all the money in the world. And you just can't, when something breaks, say, let's just get something new. Just buy new and let's go on. They know that's not an option. We try to fix anything that breaks if we can. And what impresses me about these guys is they really work hard at that. They really think outside the box. Finding parts for 30 and 40-year-old pieces of equipment that they stopped making parts 20 years ago on is incredible, but yet they seem to find them. eBay's become really popular at our department, and believe it or not.
Popular everywhere, for sure.
And so that's the part that impresses me, is the fact that they find ways to fix things.
Well, it goes back to what we said earlier. We're problem solvers. And your guys are masterful of solving problems. Because, again, we may not have all the resources, but they seem to find a way to work by solving problems. So.
And when they come in and say, it's done, I don't even ask. Because if they've told me it's done, then it's done.
Right.
And we better just plan on buying new.
Sure. So we kind of mentioned just some overview, especially we kind of talked a little bit about the vestibules, but what are some examples of work that our maintenance department completes that the general public may not be aware of, or something that you're able to accomplish in-house without assistance from any outside vendors?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, and there's not a lot we can't fix, to be quite honest. I mean, we work on roofs to a point. We work on all our HVAC and heating equipment. We do a lot of our own grounds work. We put in sidewalks. We patch parking lots. We repair and maintain our own lawnmowers, snow blowers. We clear snow. We build furniture. We paint our own buildings. We work on our own kitchen equipment. We fix most, if not all, our electrical issues. We work on our cameras, on our fire alarms, our alarm systems. We work on our own playgrounds. And, usually if we go outside of us, it's for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's bigger than our manpower can handle. We don't have the proper equipment, so we just go ahead and source it out. Or if we're not certified. If it's something we're not certified to do, then we're not going to touch it.
Right.
And then the other thing is, if it's under warranty or it's warranty issues, we let them handle it, because if we touch something that's under warranty, we run the risk of voiding our warranty.
Sure. So as I travel around and speak to folks and speak to organizations, a lot of people are sometimes amazed by what we call fun facts about Augusta County. They may not realize how large we are geographically, or how many students we have, or number of employees. So what are some fun facts related to Augusta County schools as it relates to maintenance that you can share with some of our listeners?
Well, we average about 400 work orders a month.
And that's how many facilities are we keeping?
We have 18 schools.
18 schools.
Yeah, so we usually average around 400. So that's close to about 5,000 work orders a year that we get. August is always our biggest work order month, with about 700 in 1 month. The other thing is, on a personal note, we have, which I think is kind of interesting, we have former teachers on our staff. We have a former police officer, EMTs. We have a NASCAR pit crew member on our staff. We have firefighter. So we have a well-rounded group of people that work for maintenance.
Wow. I wasn't aware of some of those fun facts myself, so I learned something myself here today. So, Mr. Troxell, I can't thank you enough for your leadership in our operations and maintenance department. You guys do an incredible job. We have a quality staff that is just very skilled in their respective areas. And another fun fact, I don't think you mentioned this earlier, but Augusta County Schools is soon to have over 2 million square feet of facilities that you have to keep up with. And having a staff that can handle that number of buildings with that much square feet and keep us up and running safely and comfortably is quite the task, and you guys certainly have risen to the occasion. So thank you, Mr. Troxell. Thank you to our maintenance department. We appreciate all you can do. And that concludes this episode of Connecting with Augusta County Schools. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in, and we will talk to you soon.
Thanks again to all of our listeners for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel to get updates on our latest episodes. Our episodes can always be found on Augusta County Schools Facebook page and website.